What's up, Joel? What's so funny?
I was gonna beat you to the punch, but we could both see the countdown. So you know,
Dude, nice glasses.
thanks, man. Nice glasses to you. Are those new glasses or are those your same ones?
No, these are my whatever blue blocker glasses because my freaking eyes hurt staring at this computer screen all day.
Yeah, I don't know if they work because these are blue
Dude,
blockers, but like I
I
like.
think
You think they work?
you need the yellow ones. I have some yellow ones that
Oh, they work
if you
better.
if you saw them, you would laugh at me, but I think they work way better. They just,
Yeah,
but it's really hard. Like if you're like, because they mess with the colors, right? So they're hard to do
yeah,
anything on.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
these ones got like the blue tint in them, and they're prescription too. And
Mm-hmm.
then like I'll be driving, and then I'll like lower them. I'm like, oh wow, everything's a lot different looking, which is like
Yep.
it's kind of helpful when you're driving up here because there's a lot of flat light, and this kind of helps with that.
Yep. Exactly, man. Dude,
Yeah.
so I had this thought the other day. This is what I want to talk about today. And I just kind of want to have a discussion with you. So
Okay.
I own a plumbing business. I own whatever our social media business that you're involved in. So you deal with plumbing businesses a lot. And I know that running a plumbing business is not cheap, right?
Right.
It's an expensive endeavor. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there's like two different kinds of plumbing companies out there. There's the kind that are really expensive, that offer a good quality service, and at the end of the day, they make money. And most of those companies, they pay their employees well. They're very systemized. It's a very good place to work, so on and so on and so on. Then there's the other company who doesn't charge enough, and so they don't make any money, and then they can't pay their guys very well. They can't pay their CSRs very well.
Mm,
The equipment they have is old and jankety. The vans they drive around in are old and jankety. But at the end of the day, they're a little bit cheaper, right? They're quite a bit
sure.
cheaper. But
Sure.
they're just going like paycheck to paycheck. They're not actually making money. Like they're really slowly dying. They're barely
Right.
holding on, if at
Right.
all, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, and I do business coaching, so I see those types of companies all the time, and then we help transition them into companies that actually make money, that actually bill for what they're worth and can take care of their employees and offer a good place to work. Um, and I want to talk about that right there. Not that we take them from that to that, but I want to talk about like what a company who doesn't charge a lot actually looks like on the inside, and what a company who does charge a lot, in my mind, they're actually charging what they're worth, what they look like on the inside. Okay.
Okay.
From the lens of, like, to me, this is to the customer.
What do you mean?
Because I see this big disconnect, okay,
Uh-huh.
in plumbing customers. They want the cheapest
Oh,
price,
I understand.
but yet, so we have all these people in this world. They want higher wages, they want mandatory insurance, they want all this stuff, right? Which is
Uh-huh.
great. But then at the end of the day, they're not willing to put their money where their mouth is and hire
Uh-huh.
companies that are already doing that stuff because
Uh,
those companies are too expensive. You know what I mean?
dude, yeah, I totally know what you mean.
Like, I was watching this TikTok. If we had our guy, we could pull it up. I was watching this TikTok from
ah,
what's our guy's name?
uh, Oscar.
There you go. Okay. I was watching this TikTok from, actually, one of my guys sent it to me, from Tommy Mello.
Mhm.
And he was at a conference talking about garage doors because he's a garage door contractor. And he names some part, and he goes, how many guys are charging 2 grand for this part, service, whatever it is? And he says, raise your hand. And like 3 or 4 people raise their hand. He goes, how many people are charging 7 grand? He goes, raise your hand. He goes, how many people are charging 10 grand? Raise your hand. And fewer and fewer people raise their hand. He goes, I charge 10 grand for that service. And he said, he was at a conference one time and he did that very same thing. And at the end of the conference, this guy came up to him and he goes, how do you sleep at night charging 10 grand for that service? And Tommy Mello's answer to him was, tell me about your employees' benefits. Tell me about your employees' pay scale. Tell me about your employees' paid time off. Tell me about your employees' health care. Tell me the lady that answers your phones has nice tires on her car. Tell me that
Mm.
the people that work for you can afford to get their children Christmas presents. And he goes, how do you sleep at
Mhm.
night? Right.
Sure.
And so I think there's this group of business owners that understand that in order to provide a good place to work, to take care of your employees and actually provide a good service, it costs a lot of money and you have to charge a lot of money for it.
Right.
And then there's another group of business owners that don't quite understand that. And so, but then you have the homeowners involved as well, who are like, the companies that actually take care of their employees um, are
Oh,
are price gouging. They're just out there
right.
just lining their pocketbooks. And we see it so much in university professors. Like this is probably the best example I can think of. We've had lots of university professors hire us. Not that all of them are this way, but quite a few that we've had. Right? They're all about, they work at a university. They're a little more liberal, so they're all about mandated health care.
Uh-huh.
They're all about raising minimum wage. They're all about that you should pay your employees, a
Sure.
livable wage, all this stuff, right? And I get it. They want to take care of humanity, and that's
Sure.
fine. But then when it comes to hiring a plumbing company, they
Uh,
it's not that they don't really put their money where their mouth is. I mean, they don't, but it's like they don't know.
they're not linking it together because like what I'm thinking about right now is like we've been just listing lots of good things so far, right? Like even
Mhm.
your Tommy Mello example, you're listing just all these good things. So if
Mhm.
you were to ask that university professor like a question, you just say, hey, do you support high wages? And
Right.
then do you support being able to afford things that keep you safe in your life? Do
Mhm.
you support maybe, I don't know, just continue all these good things? The
Mhm.
answer would be yes. But then when it comes to also I'll just tack on like, do you give money to somebody to help? Do you give money to a charity? Well, yes. Like, okay, cool. Have you ever thought of that instead of maybe giving money to that charity that benefits whatever it is, and maybe it's a great charity, maybe it's a noble cause,
Yeah.
but when you give money to your expensive plumbing company, you're giving good things and good opportunities to people. You're making the
Yep.
world a better place when you're
Yep.
participating in that system. And I
Yeah.
would also say that the flip side is if you continue to sort of give money to lower price companies, is you're not really making it better for anybody because you're
Yeah.
allowing something to survive that shouldn't survive because it hurts everything else. Like
Yeah.
realistically, like if you're charging low and you're not making any money, like you said, it's a slow walk to death.
Yep.
But honestly, and probably this is really sounds really harsh, and I apologize for that, but you should die because you're not doing anything else better. Or you should change. You should pivot
Yeah.
and turn into something that is actually worth
Yep.
existing, I guess, because you can just
Mhm.
do so many better things if you're priced properly, which means you'll
Yep.
probably be expensive. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, 100%.
Yeah, so I guess like if I could tell homeowners things is like if they really care about supporting their community, supporting their neighbors, their fellow workers, they really care about that stuff, then in order for those things to change, we really need to be willing to put our money where our mouth is. So like imagine
Yeah,
a
yeah,
world where you won't hire a company unless you know that they take care of their employees. Their employees are making a good wage and they're not overworked and they have the resources that they need in order to do their job efficiently, and they can actually go home at the end of the day and spend time with their families, spend weekend with their families, have paid vacation. Imagine a world where the people of the world, the homeowners, decided, I'm only going to hire those kinds of companies because that's what I want for the world that I live in. What would happen to those companies that didn't take care of their employees, that couldn't pay them enough, that couldn't give them the time off that they need, that couldn't give them the good tools to work with, that couldn't provide them with a safe working atmosphere. All those people would be forced into providing those things for their employees because they would have to be competitive in order to do that, right?
Right, right.
And it'd be a much better place.
Yeah, no, this is yeah, this is I really like this line of thought because again, as the homeowner, you're always thinking, I mean, you're not really, honestly, you're not really thinking, like you said, has the professor ever thought about this? And I would probably say no, because he's thinking about his little world and what is really important to him, not really
Yep.
trying to think maybe outside of his own box. So he's
Yeah.
thinking, this is so expensive, this is ridiculous, this
Yep.
must be criminal.
Oh
And
yeah.
but it's
It,
not. It's actually
it's
what you
price
want in a
gouging.
healthy system. Yeah. Yeah, and again, that's always on a comparison basis. That idea of price
Right.
gouging in his mind exists because he says, "I know some things." He says I know things, but what he's really saying is, I think I know a couple things. I think
Uh-huh.
that guy did it for this. I think that this part is this cheap, and I think I understand your business. So therefore, you are price gouging.
Yeah,
And it's like it's a lot of presumptions bundled up in that. But at the end of the day, it's not making the world a better place, just assuming that.
exactly. And then the same guy would go turn around and vote for a higher minimum wage or mandatory
Yeah.
health care or those kinds of things. It's very strange to me. There's
Yeah.
a huge
Yeah.
disconnect there. So I guess like this one goes out to homeowners. Like if I could get all homeowners in the United States to listen to this, I 100% would. And it's
Yeah.
like what's crazy, like to put it into perspective, like you've got plumbing companies going out and charging, in this day and age, 160, $190 an hour, when in reality it costs like, three to $400 an hour just to be in business, right?
Right. Right.
And so you have to charge more than that in order for your business to make money. And your business has to make money or you won't be able to grow. You won't be able to expand. If you mess up, you won't be able to own that mistake because those things come out of profit. Um,
Right.
and then like banks won't give you money for the owner. It's terrible. Like you just ruin yourself. Your credit gets ruined, and it's a terrible thing. I mean, like a whole nother side of that, just outside of the employees of the business, you're supporting an an owner running his company in such a way that he'll never be able to retire. He'll
Sure.
like he's not putting away money. He's not able to work 30 years and at the end sell his company because his company isn't worth anything because it's not
Right.
profitable.
Right.
And so like I see it all the time. I've seen guys build these companies for 20, 30 years and work in the field or in the office and then want to go retire and they can't sell their company because it's
Sure.
worth zero because their company has only provided them with a small paycheck the entire time. And
Right.
they, and they don't have any retirement. All my
Huh.
guys at my plumbing company, yes, we're super expensive, but they all get retirement. They get paid
Sure.
time off. They get health care. They don't work on weekends, right?
Yeah, they have a quality of life that I think most people would want people to have in this day and age.
Yeah.
Like
And they would
whether you're Republican or Democrat, people would say, yeah, you shouldn't have to work more than 40 hours a week. Yeah,
yep.
you should be able to feel good and secure about your financial future. You should be
Mhm.
making now there might be some argument on like what constitutes a living wage, because somebody
Yeah.
might push back and be like, well, why do they got to make this much? Why can't you just pay them less?
Yeah.
And that's like a whole like preferential kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
that just comes down to like that person sees the world very differently than I see the world.
Yeah,
Because
that comes down to just market. Like, what do you have to pay your plumbers to have them work for you, right?
yeah, or even just that whole idea that then because if somebody asked me like, well, or if somebody was like Joel, why don't you pay your plumbers this and because then they can just lower their standard of living. I mean, I would only entertain that idea if I looked at this guy and was like, okay, so have you chosen to cut your pay and decrease your goals? Have
Yeah.
you said I have these goals in life, but I'm going to intentionally decrease them for the purpose of, like, I don't even know why you would do that, because that's not really making the world a better place either, right? Like if I say,
No.
Jered, I want to make way less money and I want to have way smaller goals,
Hmm.
and that's going to make the world a better place because that's going to give more people elsewhere opportunity. I would say that I don't think that exists. Like I don't know where that idea comes from.
No. No, it doesn't exist. What exists is like if I need 10 plumbers and company B over there needs 10 plumbers and there's only 10 plumbers available, I'm going to have to pay them more than company B if I want the 10 plumbers. Like that's how plumber wages get set, really. And so plumber wages, like a lot of the reason the cost of plumbing is going up so much is because lack of plumbers and plumber wages are going up and
Sure.
up and up. And to hire like licensed skilled professionals is getting much harder.
Right.
That's for sure. Yep. So like if you're a plumbing company and you're living in this world where you're not charging what you're worth, like you're really doing on the flip side of that, right? You're really doing a disservice to the customer
Sure.
and your employees and yourself in the long run. Like if you're not charging enough, you cannot take care of the customer very well.
Right.
Um, and if you are taking care of the customer super well, but you're not charging enough, then you're you're slacking somewhere else. You're
Right.
slacking in paying yourself. You're slacking in your own time, like carving away time for yourself and your family.
Right.
Um, you're slacking in paying your employees what they're worth, or providing them with good tools, or a good place to work, or good vehicles to drive around. You're slacking somewhere, right? So like we could solve this issue in two different ways. Like all homeowners, which neither of these are ever going to happen, but all homeowners recognize that when they put their money towards a good plumbing company, like what they're actually supporting, and all plumbing company owners who, aren't charging enough, recognize that, start and recognize the harm that they're actually doing. Like
Sure.
they're giving their customer a discount just to not take care of their employee, or to not take care of themselves, or to not spend enough time with their family, right? So
Sure.
I don't know why you would ever do that. Like why would you discount your customer and screw yourself over?
Probably
So,
because I mean, probably because it's easier to avoid that conflict for people. It's easier to screw yourself over and not get in a
mhm.
conflict with somebody else, and then still tell yourself that, well, I'm virtuous because I'm cheaper.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
virtue and cheapness is like associated.
Mhm.
Um,
I'm the
which,
good guy. I'm a good guy. Yeah.
yeah, I'm a good guy because I'm charging so and so less. But
Yep.
like again, back to the Tommy Mello thing, like, are you a good guy? Like,
Yeah.
are you providing things that are good things? Or are you providing things that are just mediocre things because you're doing this other thing? And then you're
Yeah.
perpetuating the cycle of like people being okay with having cheap work done and stuff like that. And
Yep.
if I can just say one thing really quick, I think it's like everybody, like the homeowner is okay in buying Apple products. Apple products are expensive. They're okay with it. I'm okay with buying
Yeah.
fancy whatever. I'm okay with that. But when
Mhm.
it comes to my home service work, whatever that may be, I'm not okay with buying premium. I
Yep.
must have the cheapest, which to me is such a disconnect. And that same homeowner would say like, yeah, bro, I buy Tom's shoes because they give like all these shoes to the orphans. You know, I'm doing a good thing. And it's like, so I have virtue in the way that I look at companies, and yet I
Yep.
won't spend a bunch of money at a local company who's doing a good service.
Yep.
It just doesn't make sense. There's just a disconnect. And I think it comes back to that there just isn't, people just don't know. People don't view service companies as aligned with every other company. You have a choice to choose a service company. I have a
Yeah.
choice
You
to buy
do.
Apple or not. I have a choice
Yep.
to buy Samsung. Like I have these choices.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I thought of this because we just had a customer that we went to his house. We did a bunch of work, and he reached out and wanted to know that what they really wanted was like a breakdown of how much the labor costs and how much the parts cost. And So I sent him back an email and I said, there's a lot more that goes into your work other than just the labor of the guys and the materials of the job. There's all this stuff that is
Yeah.
included. And I just listed off, 10 or 15 of them and said, plus 100 plus other costs of doing business that all have to be accounted for in every single job that we do.
Right.
So when you ask me for a breakdown, I can give you, the percentage of this that you paid and this and hundreds of other different items, but it's likely not going to make much sense to you and it's going to be fairly overwhelming. And it
Sure.
would take me hours to put together. Our software does this for us, and I can do it if you really want me to. But that's how that gets priced out. Is that we have all these costs that we have to cover, and it's the cost of doing business plus a profit, and then we price this way so that we can take care of the customer effectively, offer them these services that we offer, and so that we can take care of our employees and offer them a good place to work. And he emailed me back and he said, "Thank you for emailing me and explaining this to me. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to take my business elsewhere." And I was just thinking to myself, like, man, like I know this guy, I know him, so I know that like if I explain to him that what he supports, if he knew, not that if I explained to him, but if he
Right.
knew, like actually knew what he supports when he hires my company versus hiring this other company, like what the inside of the companies look like, how they were structured, what they pay their guys, how they take care of their customers, how they take care of their employees, I know he would choose otherwise because he stands for all those things
Right.
politically, you know, morally. Um,
Right.
Morally, he would feel wrong about hiring the other company if he knew.
Right.
And so I know there's this huge disconnect. Um,
Huh.
and I definitely want to like do better about explaining that to homeowners, letting them know. Because I'm a big fan of putting my money where my mouth is.
Sure.
It's always guided me to an extent. Sometimes you can get a little wild on that, right?
Yeah.
Like wearing Cabela's camo because I don't know, they don't support something you don't like, right?
Right. Right.
But yeah, big disconnect. It's wild.
Yeah. And I think, man, I mean, we're all definitely guilty of being hypocrites,
Oh
but we
yeah,
should all
totally.
be really, we should all, I would say, we should all be willing to be shown our hypocrisy
Hmm.
because if we don't learn to embrace our hypocrisy and then change and then repent, then like what are we doing? Like,
Yep.
at least in my perspective, if I'm not progressing from a version of myself that is better tomorrow than it is today, or maybe the next day or the next day, then it's like I don't really know what else I'm supposed to be doing on this planet uh,
Yeah.
that is like useful to me and everybody around me. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think the disconnect exists. One, people just don't think about service work that way. They just don't. Like, they think about it sort of as this necessary evil. So one, that's like it's a necessary evil. So there's this assumption that stuff should always be fine all the time, like
Hmm.
nothing should break. Um, and then, man, I had the other disconnect, but now I can't remember it.
It's
Um,
almost like they don't value service workers, right? Like they're not worth getting paid quality, or even
yeah,
service
that
companies.
yeah,
Service companies don't deserve to make a profit. Profit's such
sure.
an
Well,
ugly word to people.
y-
Oh my gosh, you make a profit? Well, yeah, we make a profit. We're a business. It's what we do. Why else would we be in business? Like
yeah,
that's the point of being in business, make a profit.
yeah.
But if
So that's
I'm
such a loaded word.
It
People
is.
assume that when we talk about profit, we're talking about profit through bad ways, right?
Yeah.
They think about profit through price gouging or profit through
Yep.
extortion. That's
Yep.
how profit is viewed, but that's not what profit is.
No,
Profit
profit.
is it's the energy you need to make something better.
Yeah.
That is what profit is.
Yeah, and it's like people start businesses to provide a service for other people to make money. That's what business is.
Right.
If there's no money made, there's no reason to be in business, right?
Right. I can definitely hear people saying that, well, things should just be done because they need to be done, whether or not they're profitable or not.
But why would you expect somebody to own and run this complicated, pain in the butt, super risky, messy thing and not make any money at the day? Like you're asking them to have a job without making any money. The worst job on the planet, right?
Yeah.
It's not the
Yeah.
best job on the planet, and it's
Right.
way more risky. There's
Right.
tons of risk in it.
Right.
So you need to get paid for it. And that's what profit is.
Right.
And at the end of the day, you need to be able to retire. Like
Sure.
business owners need to build something that's valuable. And by valuable, I mean that they can sell it when they want to retire and have enough money to retire. And so, in order to build something that's valuable, you have to be profitable. If you're
Right.
not profitable, no other company is going to want to buy you.
Right.
None. No other person is going to want to buy you because then they're stuck with a job that they don't get paid for. People don't
Right.
buy people don't buy jobs they don't get paid for.
Right.
It's
Mm.
it's a strange world we live in.
Yeah, this is like a historical topic because we're talking about like perceptions that people have had from like blue collar and white collar differentiation, right?
Uh-huh.
So we're having these like, okay, well, I am white collar, so I view the blue collar as this or that. And it's weird to me that this service would be so expensive because that doesn't make any sense. Again, I'll pay like I don't know what the markup is on an Apple product, but I bet you it's very high. I'm sure their
Oh
cost
yeah,
of business
totally.
is astronomical. Like I'm sure
Mhm.
things are very high because business is just expensive. I don't know what their
Mhm.
margins are, um, but at the same time, like people are paying for a marked up product wherever you go to buy. Nobody's going to the grocery store and complaining that these apples are this expensive, and they're not asking for a breakdown on these apples
Right.
and where they came from and all this kind of stuff. Like
Right.
nobody's thinking about these things, even though I need my boiler to work just like I need food in my belly. Like these are both
Yeah.
very important things that are necessary to me living the life that I'm choosing to live,
Yep.
one which is in a heated environment.
Yep.
um, and it just like I want to buy high quality apples because it's good for me, I should be investing, and maybe investing is the right word we should be thinking about. Is like when you invest in an expensive plumbing company, you're investing into something good, you're investing into your community. I would also say
Yep.
do your due diligence. Like if you see a plumbing company in your town and you're like, man, these guys are really expensive, I would encourage you to go to their shop, arrange, call ahead, arrange, let me talk to your owner, let me talk to your GM, show me your business. Because
Yeah.
if I want to choose you as my company, I want to know what I'm supporting. I want to know
Yeah.
that I'm not supporting an owner who's making all this money and his guys are getting paid crap. Like, I want to know
Yep.
that I'm supporting what you're describing. And then
Yep.
you have a lot of ownership in that choice. And that's actually a cool thing. Like, then you're actually doing something direct in your town and your community.
Yeah, and if you went to a plumbing shop and you were like and you went to them in this way, you were like, "Hey, I only want to support plumbing companies. I don't care what you cost. I only want to support plumbing companies that align with my values. And I want to make sure that your guys are getting paid well, that they're getting treated well, that they're getting taken care of. And I want to make sure that the owner is building something of value so at the end of the day, he can retire. And I want to make sure you're taking care of your customers. If you went to a plumbing business owner that way, he'd be like, "Yeah, come on in. I will show you everything in my business if you came to me that way. I would show
Yeah.
you all my breakdowns of my cost of doing business. I would show you how profitable we are. I would show you how much we pay our plumbers. I would show you how much we spend on advertising. I would show it all to you. I'd be stoked. I've never
Right.
once had a customer do that to me, and I
I've
highly doubt
never,
that I ever will."
I've never heard of anybody again approaching service that way. But the funny thing
Mhm.
is this goes to the disconnect that we've been talking about the whole time is that people will approach other companies that way, not so charitably, but they
Oh yeah.
will. Like they'll go and they'll be like, "Well, I don't shop at so and so because of the
Yep.
politics or this or that, or I just, I just don't. I choose not to. It's my choice. It's my money. I can support
Yep.
with my money.
Yeah, I only buy fair trade coffee or fair
Yep.
trade chocolate,
Yep.
but
Because
yet
you're
I
supporting a
don't
thing.
care I don't care what the plumbing company I hire is how he's treating his employees. But the damn coffee farmer or the
Yeah.
chocolate farmer in Nigeria, I care about that. But the guys
Yeah.
in my own backyard, I don't give two craps about. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense.
Dude, that's kind of sort of like, I don't know, maybe I feel like that's like a symptom of our culture is it's so much easier to keep my problems. No, no, let me rephrase that. It's so much easier to keep problems really far away
Yeah.
because I can maybe feel better about myself as I'm helping problems really far away than to like invest a little bit of time and look at the problems that are close to me. Like,
Mhm.
it's easier to avoid the problems in my home, with my family, with my marriage, whatever, and then like pour into causes outside of that than to just do the
Yeah.
hard work right here. Just
Yep.
like it's like harder and scarier and takes more time for somebody to go to a local business and be like, hey, I need to know about you because I'm gonna need your service. Like,
Yep.
in a perfect world, like, you know, I'm gonna be moving to Pensacola,
Yep.
and if I was to do it right, I would show up, and then when I needed these service calls, or I would be anticipating needing things, right? We all know what we're gonna need as homeowners. And I
Yep.
would go down the list and be like, all right, well, who's are the people in my town? I would go to Google reviews, I would read reviews, I would
Mhm.
find who is highly rated, and they would probably be more expensive. And
Yep.
then I would go and be like, hey, I'm thinking about being one of your customers. I was going to sign up for a membership today. But
Yep.
tell me about your business. I want to know all the things so that I can make a good choice that's going to be impacting my community. I
Yep.
think what people are missing is the realization that when you support, like, everybody's like, support local businesses, right?
Mhm.
But when you when you support local businesses, you're supporting like a way of life and an infrastructure in your town. And
Exactly.
like it's like everybody just thinks that, and they think support local businesses meaning I go to my local grocer and my coffee shop. Those are
Right.
the local businesses. But I
Yep.
won't pay the plumber what he needs
Yep.
because that's price gouging. It's like,
Yeah.
but I'll go buy a. Why can't I go down to the coffee shop and claim price gouging when I'm buying a $7 latte?
Yeah, exactly.
That's price gouging right there. It's just milk and coffee in it.
Mhm.
Like, I know how much those things cost. Like, nobody ever asked for a breakdown.
Not a
It's like,
soul.
no, because
And they understand, like, in that instance, they would never be like, break that cup of coffee between labor and milk and coffee in there. Milk, coffee, and how much the
right,
water costs.
right,
Because they understand, they see the building and the coffee machine and the coffee and the guy over there doing dishes and the guy outside cleaning the windows and somebody cleaning off the tables, and they see all that and they know that all
right,
of that gets poured into that one cup of coffee, right?
right.
And but they don't see it with a service. They see
Sure,
the guy doing the work and the materials he installs. They don't see the advertising on the back end. They don't see the manager in the office. They don't see the ladies answering the phones. They don't see the insurance
sure,
that everybody has to have. They don't see
sure,
any of that stuff in the back.
sure.
So it's a little harder to like wrap their head around, I think. But it's no different no matter if you're a coffee shop or a plumbing company.
Right,
Everything has to get wrapped up into that one service. Like
right,
the cost of everything has to be accounted for, or you
right.
lose your butt. So
And,
go ahead.
and like at the end of the day, like in America, I would say, I'm just gonna guess, but nobody wants to lose things, right? So profit's the enemy, right? But if I said,
Yep.
okay, profit's the enemy, let's have it your way. No more coffee shop, no more organic grocer, no more competitive service business, no more gyms, um, none of those things. None of those things that you've come to appreciate. No more cool
Mhm.
shoes, no more iPhone. You're going to get this really crappy product, and it's
Mhm.
going to be mass produced there in a really terrible way, and people are going
Mhm.
to get their fingers cut off, and it's going to be bad. Okay,
Yeah.
this is what you get, and it's just like, yeah, nobody wants to like, profit is a necessary thing because people need businesses. You want businesses. Like, I want
Dude,
businesses to be profitable because that means they can continue to do what they do really well.
it's what makes the world go round. It's like wild. Like I drive around town, Pensacola here, and I look at all the stores, and I'm like, this city is literally just a bunch of places for people to spend money. That's all it is.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
because those places are there, then people have a place to work and make money. And
Right.
then it makes it makes it worthwhile living there. Like that's all the city is. People live there, they have a place to make money and they have a place to spend money. And because
Right.
people have a place to spend money, they have a place to make money. And that's all
Right.
it is. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I kind of think that's probably how it's been since the dawn of time. Like like if you remove money and you insert trade good, it's the same thing. You're taking some form of like hope and energy and you're exchanging it for labor and then you're getting out of it another form of hope and energy. And that's just how we've always done things. And if I can input like 10 labor points and get out 12 hope and energy points, I've made a profit. That is good. That is a good relationship. I will continue to do business.
Yep. So, moral of the story is put your money where your mouth is. Like if you're going to go hire a
Sure.
service company, make sure they take care of their guys. Be willing to pay that extra cost to support a company, a local company that is employing people in your area who are then going and spending their money in your area, right?
Right.
Um, who a person who takes care of his CSRs, a person who is running a business that is worth something, because you're supporting much more than just money out of your wallet. You're supporting
Right.
something actually really, really cool. And when you choose to support the other thing, you're actually supporting something actually very, very terrible.
Yeah.
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 I'm going to put a bunch of ads behind this to all homeowners in the United States. Sound
Yeah.
good?
Sounds good to me. I mean,
Yep.
it's just like it's an honest conversation. Like
Yeah. And plumbing,
it's
that like one thing to say as well is like plumbing business owners, like stop screwing over your employees to discount your customer. Just
yeah.
quit. Just stop doing that.
Yeah.
Like take care of your guys and charge the customer what it costs to take care of your people.
Yeah.
Be that business owner. The more of us that there is, then the more normal that's going to get and the better off everybody is going to be because of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to be screwing over those customers too. Like we already touched on it. Like
Yeah.
you're not offering a discounted service is just offering a discounted service because out of a surplus of your profit because you're profitable and you're doing good. That's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But offering a service that's cheap because you want to or something, that's a
Mm-hmm.
whole nother idea that
Oh, yeah.
actually doesn't really help anybody because
No.
you still have bills to pay and you're going to rush through that service and you can't fix the thing you messed up because you rushed through the service or whatever, or the
Yep.
tech you hired at 60% what somebody else would pay, like
Yep.
it's just not a thing. Like doesn't work.
Nope. Doesn't work. So don't do it. Dude, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
Yeah, that was a really good conversation. I appreciate that. Makes me think about things differently. I mean, really,
What,
just like, go ahead.
just like what?
Oh, well, just like I mean, it comes back to like personal responsibility and diligence, right?
Yeah.
Like, do your due diligence. Like, we as
Yep.
humans, we really should be doing our due diligence with the things that we buy, right?
Yep.
Like, especially if we claim ourselves to be moral creatures and we claim ourselves to have any sort of moral right or something like this, we should be actually looking at what we're doing. Like, we
Yep.
shouldn't just be willy nilly consumers because, like, people are like, oh, consumer society and it's a terrible thing. And it's like, listen, everybody's been consuming forever. That's just the nature of being a human, is a person of consumption. But what we can do differently is we can intentionally consume. And
Yep.
that way we can ensure that what we're actually taking in is actually something worth taking in. And we're not supporting crap. And we're not
Yep.
supporting things that actually don't help. Like
Yeah.
everybody should be trying to support things that are helping everything else go. Because the more that we can do that, I think the better it's just going to raise it for everybody.
Yep. Yeah. The best vote you have is your dollar
Yeah.
for sure.
So you got to know you have to know what you're getting into when you're voting with it.
Yep. Dude, what episode was that?
Cool. 9. 9.
I don't even know. Okay.
9.
Number 9 in the books. Thanks for watching,
Cool.
guys. See you
Yep.
later.
See you guys next time.